Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back in the Hythe area of Colchester, Colchester's old port. But I'm not going to explore the Hythe. I'm actually going to walk along the Ferry Marsh Trail, along the side of the River Colne to Wivenhoe, and take a look at the village's maritime past. The trail starts at the Haven Road Bridge by the residential flats here. But as soon as I started the trail, my eyes are drawn to the right to a rather impressive lightship. She's called the Trinity lightship number 16, and she was manufactured back in 1954 by a company called Philip & Co. She's 138 feet long and displaces 538 tons, and she was built for a charitable organisation called Trinity House, and Trinity House safeguards seafarers and navigation. She came into service in just after she was built in 1934 and served Trinity House up until 1988, when she was sold to the Astrid Group based in Southampton. Just 2 years later, she was sold to the Sea Cadets here in Colchester and has been moored along the quayside since 1991. I spent the last few minutes looking at all the array of boats and barges that are moored up along the River Colne. They look quite different when the tide's out. You can also see all the traffic cones and shopping trolleys that have been thrown into the water. Perhaps I should come back and take a look at high tide later on today. But some of these vessels, they've all apparently got a history to them. I'm not up on maritime history as such. It's not my subject. Romans, English Civil War and church history is what really excites me, but the more I've been looking into maritime history recently, the more interested I'm becoming in the subject. If you see my recent videos from Ipswich Marina and Swansea Marina, the marinas themselves and also the vessels, the ships and boats that are moored up there, they all have stories to tell, including little ships that went to Dunkirk. And one of the, not sure which one, but one of the little vessels here actually went to Dunkirk back in 1940 to rescue the British troops from the beach. Little piece of maritime history hidden in plain sight on the River Colne here in Colchester. There's still quite a bit of industry in the Hythe area, but it's mainly smaller units, breakers' yard and storage units, etc. But further east you go, down the estuary, as you come out of Colchester, then you find the larger industries, the larger businesses, the aggregates yard, the shipyards and the bus depot. But a bit further on from that, where I'm walking now, the countryside just opens up. It's absolutely wonderful. The only thing that really spoils it is the train going past, because I've got the river on one side and the railway line on the other. Maybe I could try and get some pictures of a train going past if I'm lucky enough. But the only downside is really walking down the River Colne here and seeing the tide is out. Imagine at full tide, high tide, I imagine this is absolutely beautiful along here, but it really is, it's lovely. The actual trail is about 4 kilometres long, or about 2.5 miles. Now, I haven't walked this before, so I'm not sure what I'm going to find or what I'm going to see, but there's a lot of trees and a lot of birds singing as well. I don't know if the camera's picking up the sound of the birds singing. I'll try and get a picture of them if I can. Just walked past the most gorgeous little nature reserve called the Ferry Marsh Nature Reserve. Walking down this trail by the River Colne is absolutely gorgeous. The wildlife, the nature, the peace and the tranquility really is lovely. But I've now reached Wivenhoe, little village just down the Colne, about say 4 miles or so. 4 kilometres, about 2.5 miles from the Hythe area of Colchester. I'm trying to make do with all the, trying to sort of look at all the outside activities and do as much outside as I can at the moment. Not because of the coronavirus restrictions, but that is one deciding factor, but because of the gorgeous weather at the moment. Recent weeks in England, the weather's been vile, but in the last couple of days, the sun's come out, the temperature's gone up, and the wind's been in the right direction. And finally summer is here, and I can actually get out and explore the countryside. A little early yet to venture further afield, say with the old coronavirus restrictions. Nothing worse than having to go to a gorgeous stately home or a castle or other points of interest and have to walk around in a face covering. It really does put a dampener on the day, but hopefully in a few weeks' time those restrictions will be lifted and I can travel further afield outside of the Essex area and do what I intended with this channel and travel. If my plans this year had gone as they were supposed to, I would be in Germany right now, exploring Leipzig and down towards Dresden in southern Germany. That was the trip I should have made last year, but obviously the coronavirus pandemic hit and nobody was able to travel anywhere, and there are still restrictions at the moment with people travelling, and so many people are being turned away from the airport by airline staff because they haven't got the correct paperwork. And there's nothing worse, I can't think of anything worse than spending several hundred to £1,000 or more on a trip, on a holiday to travel, and being turfed away by an airline employee because my paperwork that I thought was correct all of a sudden it isn't, because the rules and regulations have changed. And with so many places on the green list and so many places on the red list, and those that are on the red list should be on the amber list, and those that are on the amber list should be on the green list, it's very confusing for travellers to actually go anywhere. And with the surge of the variant from India, that's also affecting travel for so many people to so many places. Just walking into the village of Wivenhoe, and I'm greeted by this amazing, well, dry dock. It's been filled in, and it creates a beautiful water feature here. I've seen some fantastic sights in villages around the country. Village pubs on village greens, and village pubs by village ponds. But walking through Wivenhoe here, This is absolutely delightful, and the architecture of the buildings and the flats. I think they're houses, three-storey houses that overlook this dry dock. It's absolutely gorgeous. The dock was built here in 1889 and extended in 1904, but filled in, I think it's around about 2001. All the houses here in this dry dock, this all used to be a shipyard. They've been making ships here since 1782. The first was called HMS Inspector, and that was a warship, and it carried 36 guns. The last was in 1958. That was a ship called HMS Winston. But they've made all sorts of things here: fishing smacks and sailing and steam yachts, tramp steamers, and other vessels, other ships that displace up to 1,000 tons. During the First World War and the Second World War, they built minesweepers here, again up to about 1,000 tons displacement. And they even built sections of the Mulberry floating harbour here. And these were used in the D-Day Normandy landings on the 6th of June, 1944. Just walking into the churchyard of St Mary's Church. It's been a church in Wivenhoe here. Well, the church was founded back in about 1294, and it's got some beautiful stonework on the outside. There's a lot of reused Roman bricks on the outside. Roman villas were known to be in the area. There wasn't one actually in Wivenhoe as far as I know, but there were in the surrounding areas. And like a lot of Roman buildings, once the Romans left and the villas fell into disrepair, the stones were used for building other structures. And it's quite common to see Roman bricks in churches. Spotted one at the church in Alresford last year. That also has Roman bricks, and yeah, it's quite nice to see these old bricks in the walls. But I've been looking through the records of the parish records here of the church, and I found a naughty vicar. There's quite a few in the area, especially in Colchester, but this one was probably slightly better than others I've found. His name was Brian Atkinson, and he came to the parish in 1589. But in 1591 he was deprived after disagreements with the church wardens and other members of the congregation. He was also accused of adultery as well, and he left that year, 1591. About 46 vicars have served the parish over the last 700 years, and quite interestingly, a third of them were called John. This site used to be known as Cook's Shipyard. James W. Cook and Sons Limited of London acquired the site back in 1947. Prior to that it was known as Forest's Yard, and the Forest Company had it since I think it was 1888. Changed hands again in 1958 and was bought by William Corrie and Sons Limited. It's had a few changes of ownership since, and in 2001 the shipyard here was closed. The area is redeveloped into luxury flats, and they look absolutely wonderful. And the site now is, apart from the dock area, is quite unrecognisable from when this site was a shipyard. fantastic time walking around Wivenhoe and walking down the trail to get here from Colchester. I must try to find some more trails and see what else I can find elsewhere in Essex and further afield around the country. But Wivenhoe really is a gorgeous place to come and visit, and especially on a day like today. The tide's coming back in, so all those vessels that were stranded on the mud will now be refloated, giving the viewer here, the visitor, a different insight into village life on the river. There are a few interesting people who can call Wivenhoe their home. The pianist Alberto Semprini, well, he lived in Wivenhoe for a while, and so did the actress Joan Hickson. She of course famously played Miss Marple, the Agatha Christie's detective, in those wonderful television adaptations in the 1980s. And it's so delightful here walking around. You can actually imagine Miss Marple going about her business, solving clues for yet another little murder. But there's also a nautical claim to fame here from Wivenhoe, and that's the ship called the Volantes. And she was manufactured, I think, in 1850, but she competed in the America's Cup in 1851. She didn't win. I think that was won by a vessel called the Aurora. But a little bit of Wivenhoe is in the history books connected with the America's Cup. But it's thirsty work walking around, especially on a hot sunny day like today, and the Rose and Crown Public House does look very inviting. Just stopped outside the pub here on the quayside in Wivenhoe. It's been thirsty work walking here from Colchester and walking around the village of Wivenhoe. But cheers, thank you for watching this video. And cheers to Andrew Holloway, who actually has sponsored this drink. He went online to the Buy Me a Coffee link you'll find in the description and actually purchased me a coffee, which is really sweet of you. Thank you very much. And on a day like today, warm and sunny and hot, it's nice to finish outside a pub with a refreshing soft drink. So thank you so much, and if you would like to sponsor a coffee or a soft drink or something else, then please visit the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description below, and you too can get a mention in one of my videos on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time for another adventure.